Okay, dear students, today we will start a new chapter that is Microorganisms, Friend or Foe. Microorganisms, Friend or Foe. See, dear students, what we have to do is that in this chapter, first of all, we need to understand what are microorganisms. What are microorganisms? See, my dear students, as the name itself suggests, these are organisms. We all know what are organisms. These are living things. Okay. And what does micro mean? Micro means very, very small. So, what are microorganisms? Microorganisms are very, very small things. A much better definition, what are microorganisms? Microorganisms are very tiny living beings, very tiny living beings. These are so small that you cannot see them with naked eyes. So much small that cannot be seen with naked eye. Cannot be seen with naked eyes. If we cannot see them with naked eyes, can we see them? Yes, we can see them by using special instruments called as microscope. Microscope makes very magnified image of anything. Okay, so microorganisms are very small organisms that you cannot see them directly with naked eyes. We use microscope to see microorganisms. Okay, see, my dear students, in this chapter, first of all, the concept is what is microorganism. You need to understand. We have gone through that. These are so small living things that which cannot be seen with naked eyes. Now, very important. Basically, these microorganisms have few categories. Have few categories. So, what are the categories of these microorganisms? Categories of microorganisms, very important. See, my dear students, these microorganisms are also called microbes. At many places, instead of microorganism, microbes word is used. The thing is same. So how many categories are these of? These are of main five categories, that is bacteria, virus, protozoa, algae, and fungus. See, my dear students, these are the basic main five categories of microorganisms. All these microorganisms have few different properties. That's why they have been given different names. See, my dear students, bacteria. These are microorganisms which can reproduce by self and have cell walls. Okay. Only just for a general information, we don't need to go that much deep in 7th standard regarding this. Virus. See, my dear student, we all are fed up. 2020 and 2021 has been fully embellished by these microorganisms, that is coronavirus. What is coronavirus? Coronavirus is a microorganism of this category. These are very small, even smaller than bacteria. Okay, they cannot reproduce by themselves. They always need a host body to live in. Okay, protozoa. Protozoa are a bit animal-like microorganisms. Example is amoeba. We have gone through amoeba. How does it do the process of nutrition in animals topic? Algae. These are very common. You might have gone through these. The green layer you have seen on water, that is of algae. Algae consists of chlorophyll and they are a bit plant-like. They are a bit plant life. The most common example is blue-green algae, fungus. Fungus also we have seen many times, white layer on the spoiled food, that is fungus only. Fungus is yeast, molds. Very important. The mushrooms which we see, that is also fungus. Okay, mostly of white color. That mushrooms we are able to see, that is a group of many funguses, and that's why it looks so huge. So very important, my dear students. These are five main categories of microorganism, that is bacteria, virus, protozoa, algae, and fungus. Now, my dear student, the question arises: where do these microorganisms live? Where do these microorganisms live? See, my dear students, as we are unable to see them, we can't see where do they live. But most important, as we have seen, we cannot see microorganisms. Yes, we cannot see them. But very important, the thing is that we can see or feel their presence or their effects. Very important. My dear friends, we cannot see microorganism, but we can see or feel their presence or effects. Means microorganism show some effects, do some physical process which we are able to see. Okay, so very important. Now the question arises: where do microorganisms live? Now, my dear friends, at each and every place, microorganisms live. Where do microorganisms live? Everywhere. The answer is everywhere. Whether it is water, whether it is soil, whether it is air, whether it is Sahara Desert or whether it is Himalayas, whether it is India or whether it is China, each and every place microorganisms live. As of now, our this whole earth is human race is facing a global challenge, that is coronavirus. Why the whole world is facing this? Because this virus is everywhere. This virus is everywhere, and it is by air. It has gone to each and every place, each and every corner of the world. So very important. Where do microorganisms live? Microorganisms live each and everywhere, whether it is water, air, or soil. Most important thing is that microorganisms live in each and every habitat. There is no such habitat which does not allow microorganisms. Microorganisms live in each and every habitat, so microorganisms are present everywhere. Okay, my dear students, now let's come to the basic thing of this chapter. See, my dear students, microorganisms are present everywhere. Yes, microorganisms, they are present everywhere. Yes. As they are present everywhere, they do their functions or show their effects everywhere. Yes. Now, very important. The work done or the effects shown by microorganism, few effects shown by microorganisms are very useful for us. Few processes done by microorganisms are very useful for us, whereas few processes or maybe the same process somewhere at other place will be harmful for us. I will fully explain, don't worry. See, my dear friends, microorganisms are present everywhere, and the thing is that they show their effects. They show their effects. Somewhere they show their effect, that place it is useful. It may be the same effect or it may be any another effect may be harmful for me. So one by one we will see both useful and harmful effects of microorganism. When microorganisms show useful effects, they are our friends. And when microorganisms show harmful effects, they are our enemy or foe. They are our enemy or foe. So first of all, we will see the useful or friendly microorganisms. See, my dear students, first of all, One by one, I will list each and everything. Now it is friendly microorganisms. First of all, we will see friendly microorganisms. If I am talking about friendly microorganisms, means I will be talking about the processes or the effects which are useful for human beings or us. So the first one is making of curd. See, my dear students, there is a bacteria. As we know, each and every place microorganisms is present. So in milk, there is a bacteria that is lactobacillus bacteria. This lactobacillus bacteria, what does it do is that it converts the sugar, present in milk into acid. It converts the sugar present in milk into acid, and this acid converts the milk into curd. So very important. First use is making of curd. This is a very common thing. At each and every place, daily our mother sets the curd. How? She takes a lukewarm milk and puts curd into it. When she puts curd into it, actually what she is doing is that she is adding more lactobacillus into it. What does this lactobacillus do is that it converts the milk sugar into acid, and then this acid turns the milk into curd. This is very foremost and common effect of bacteria, lactobacillus bacteria microorganism. Second is making of making of bread. Bread most commonly used in our breakfast, pastries, many other things. So how does it help in making of bread is that there is a microorganism named yeast. What does it do is that whenever bread is prepared in dough, we add some yeast. That dough by which we will be preparing bread, we add some yeast into it, and that yeast reproduces a lot. As yeast is a microorganism, so what it will do is that for guarantee it will respire, and while respiration it will release carbon dioxide gas. So when it will release carbon dioxide gas, this carbon dioxide gas will get trapped into the dough, and the dough size will, or the volume will increase, because of which the bread becomes so much fluffy and spongy. Even you might have seen many holes in the bread and pastries. Those holes are the areas or places from which much of the carbon dioxide has got escaped. But this is the way how making of bread is done. Yeast is added to dough, and that yeast respires or gives out carbon dioxide. Due to that carbon dioxide, the volume of the dough increases and it becomes fluffy. See, my dear students, we are also having many commercial uses of microorganism. We are also having many commercial uses of microorganism. What are commercial uses? Commercial uses means we are using them in industries or anywhere to earn money. Okay. So now we will see commercial use of microorganism. See, my dear friends, we all know sugar. Sugar is present in fruits. Sugar is present in most of eating materials, but sweet fruits have a lot of sugar. If this sugar, very important, see, my dear friends, even this process we have ourselves seen whenever we eat a food and our tongue from behind gets a bit salty or not salty, a bit sour and salty mixture. The reason is that, see, now what happens, because bacteria or the other microorganism of your mouth has converted that into alcohol. Sugar, when treated with yeast, The yeast convert the sugar into alcohol. Very important, my dear students. Commercial use of microorganism. The industries or the companies producing alcohol, what they do is that they take grapes, they take sugar canes juice, or whatever source of sugar, they add yeast into it, and that yeast convert that sugar into alcohol. Very important. This process is known as fermentation. Very important, my dear students. What is fermentation? The process of converting sugar into alcohol by yeast is known as fermentation. Or what is fermentation? Yeast converts sugar into alcohol. This process is known as fermentation. My dear student, if this alcohol kept for longer period and few of the bacteria convert this alcohol into vinegar, that is acetic acid. Very important, my dear students. Alcohol is highly consumed in industries and for personal uses for drinking. This alcohol, when kept with some bacteria, special bacteria, this alcohol is converted into vinegar. Vinegar, that is acetic acid, it is used in pickles, and vinegar is used as preservative in food. Very, very important. So this is commercial use of microorganism. See, my dear students, not only commercial uses, many other things are also important regarding these microorganisms. Microorganisms are also used in medicines. Very important. Microorganisms are also used in medicine. Medicinal use. See, my dear students, if you are talking about medicinal use, then we will be talking about two concepts. First one is of antibiotics, and second one is of vaccine. First we will see antibiotic, and then we will look after what is this vaccine. See, my dear students, antibiotics are medicines or tablets. Medicines or tablets which, if any person consumes, he or she will become okay. If I say okay means if he or she is having disease, then his disease will be cured. How? See, my dear friends, there are microorganisms which cause disease to me. Even the antibiotics, bio means living thing. Anti means the thing which kill the living things. Anti means opposite or killer. Anti means opposite or killer. What are antibiotics? Antibiotics, if there are any disease causing microorganism in my body, these medicines, that is antibiotics, will kill these microorganisms, but they will not affect my body. So how do they do that is that these medicines themselves are having few microorganisms, that is bacteria and fungus. See, my dear students, these antibiotics are having bacteria and fungus, but these bacteria and fungus are capable enough to kill the microorganism in my body. So they kill these microorganisms, but these bacteria and fungus never affect me. Okay, never affect my body or my body cells. So antibiotics are the medicines which help us to cure few diseases. Very important. Antibiotics are not effective on viruses. Very important. As these are not effective on viruses, that is, as we can say, corona is because of virus. So antibodies will not be affecting on COVID patient. So this is the concept of antiseptics or antibodies. Now the second concept is of vaccine. Second concept is of vaccine. What is a vaccine? See, my dear friend, what is a vaccine? Vaccine is basically a solution, a liquid solution. Okay. This liquid solution is itself having microorganisms. Very important. Itself having microorganism, and these microorganisms are disease causing microorganisms. Means these organisms cause some disease. But very important, when they are in vaccine form, when they are in vaccine, that when they are present in this solution, they are very much weak, or they are in dead form. Very important, they are so much weak that they cannot affect my body. Very important, they cannot affect my body. Means if these microorganisms are put into my body, they will not be able to affect my body. See now the concept or working of microorganisms, sorry, vaccine. This is any human body. What is vaccine? Vaccine is a solution, okay, which is having microorganism or dead microorganism, but they are weak or dead microorganism. These are disease causing microorganism and they cannot affect my body. The process of putting this vaccine solution into my body is known as vaccination. Is known as vaccination. Very important. Nowadays we are very much familiar to this word. What is vaccination? It is the process of inserting that vaccine into my body. This vaccination is done by two methods. That is by injection or orally, that is by mouth. Polio drops are also vaccine, they are given orally. And this coronavirus vaccine, it is basically for immunity, it is given by injection or injected by a injection into my body. See my dear student, when these microorganisms are put into my body, these microorganisms come into my body. These are disease causing microorganisms, but these will be unable to create any disease into my body. Why? They are very weak. See, my dear student, our human body is very smart and it is highly active. As we all know, in our blood, plasma is present, and the plasma's function is to generate antibodies. It always generates antibodies for alien material or anything that is out of our body, which my body does not recognize it. So when these microorganism, disease causing microorganism come into my body starts generating antibodies. What? Antibodies. And the name itself suggests anti means to kill, body means to kill foreign bodies or foreign material present in my body. Okay, so my body generates antibodies. These antibodies are specially generated by my body to kill these special disease causing microorganisms. As they are very much weak or dead, these antibodies very easily destroy these disease causing microorganisms. Okay, but very important, now my body has generated enough antibodies. So, from this time onward, if any microorganism causing this particular disease comes into my body, even that microorganism is very strong or very large in number, my antibodies will destroy them and I will never get this disease. I will never get this disease. So, very important, vaccine is the process, vaccine is a solution that is having disease causing microorganism, but as they are weak or dead, they are not effective on my body. Vaccination is the process of inserting this vaccine into the human body. Now, this human body creates antibodies, and these antibodies do protection of my body. The process of protection by antibodies is known as immunization. Is known as immunization. What is immunization? The process of generating protection towards any disease is known as immunization. So, my dear student, very important. These are the two concepts of medicinal use. First one was antibiotics. First one was antibiotics. Example of antibiotics is penicillin, and example of vaccine is polio vaccine that is given oral. Okay, my dear students, there are many other uses of microorganisms. See, my dear student, Microorganism, as we have done in previous chapter, that is crop protection and management, microorganisms also help me in maintaining or increasing soil fertility. Very important. In medicinal use, that is antibiotics and vaccine. See, my dear friends, soil fertility, increasing soil fertility, or at least helps in maintaining soil fertility. How? See, my dear friends, soil, whenever we put any manure in this manure is having nutrients in it. So what microorganisms, we call these microorganisms decomposers. What these decomposers of microorganisms do is that they will decompose this material and add the nutrients of this animal waste or dead animal or dead plant into soil, and these nutrients will get added into soil and my soil fertility will be increased. Moreover, few microorganisms, that is especially the rhizobium, helps to convert this atmospheric nitrogen into nitrates and increases the soil fertility. More important is that along with soil fertility, microorganisms are very much important to maintain the nutrient cycle. What is nutrient cycle? See, my dear students, microorganisms always decompose organic material, that is living things, and put these nutrients back into soil. These nutrients are taken by plants and these nutrients again come back to living things. Again, these decomposers decompose these plants and give the nutrients back into soil. So very important. Now these microorganisms are very much helpful in maintaining the nutrition cycle or maintaining the soil fertility. See, my dear students, these microorganisms are very much helpful in cleaning the environment or maintaining cleanliness in the environment. Cleaning the environment. See, my dear students, there are many living things existing in this earth. Plants, animals, many living organisms. They continuously keep on reproducing, and the previous plants or the older generation keeps on dying. When they die, they continuously start falling down on the ground. Now, what are these? Especially again the decomposers or the microorganism mix up these all things into soil, or if in a simple language I say, they vanish all this material. If they would have not vanished all this, there would have been pile of dead animals present over here at each and every place, but there is nothing such. Why? Because these decomposers or the microorganisms decompose these organic dead material into the soil, and our environment is very much clean. If they would have not been present, then our environment would have been having many dead bodies of plants, animals, humans. But it is not so. Why? These decomposers add this organic material back into the soil. So these all are the useful effects of friendly microorganisms. See, my dear friends, microorganisms very important. See, now the harmful effects of microorganisms. My microorganism is helping me to convert milk into curd. But what if I does not want the milk to be get converted into curd? Then somewhere at one place, one day I want, yes, the curd, matlab, the milk must be converted into curd, then it is useful. But one day I does not want to have curd, but then also the virus lactobacillus or bacteria lactobacillus will convert the milk into curd. Means somewhere microorganism is helpful in doing any process, but somewhere if I don't want that process to happen, then that even in that case if microorganism is doing that process, then it is harmful to me. Okay, now we will see the effects of harmful effects of microorganisms. Now we will see harmful effects of microorganisms. See my dear students, the worst harmful effect of microorganism is disease. Microorganisms cause disease. Very important. Microorganisms causing disease are known as pathogens. Microorganisms, microorganisms causing disease are called as pathogens. See my dear students, what are pathogens? Pathogens are microorganisms. If they are present in my body and if they reproduce and become very much large, if these are microorganisms and these are very much large in number, and because of this if my body is not able to function properly, even I may die also. Means there is any disease caused by these microorganisms, then these microorganisms are known as pathogens. Pathogens are very harmful to us. Why? Because they cause many diseases. As of now, our whole world is facing this virus, and because of this coronavirus, this corona disease is spreading a lot and it is killing many people. It is destroying the economy of the world. It is disturbing the mental health of the people. So very important, very worst effect of harmful effects of microorganisms is that microorganisms cause disease. Very important. Microorganisms cause disease in humans. They cause disease in humans such as TB, tuberculosis, AIDS, cholera, many more. My dear students, the worst thing is that any person having any disease due to microorganism, then that person is known as infected person. These microorganisms very easily by air, by water, or by any other contact or any other animal or any other thing, if these all take this microorganism from infected person to a healthy person, then this healthy person may also get infected and he will also develop some disease. Coronavirus, as virus we are not able to see, if they are present in any person, if he sneezes, if he touches our hand, if we use anything which he or she has that infected person has used, we can get these bacteria or viruses into our body. This is the worst thing. We are not able to see viruses. We are not able to see microorganisms. Moreover, it may be a person looking healthy, but then also that person might be having any disease causing microorganism. If any disease or any pathogen is transferred from one infected person to a healthy person and this healthy person also get that same disease, then such diseases are known as communicable diseases. Such diseases are known as communicable diseases. Coronavirus is a communicable disease because it spreads from one infected person to a healthy person. Very important, these all are known as carriers. The animals taking the pathogens from infected person to healthy persons are known as carriers. The worst carriers are housefly and mosquitoes. See my dear students, housefly, what they do is that housefly sits on shit stuff or any garbage. When it sits on that, its hairs, its legs are having a hairy like growth. The dirt or microorganism gets stick to its legs When it comes and sits on our food, those microorganisms come into our food. Or it comes or sit on our body, those microorganisms come to our body. And what do mosquito do is that mosquito from a person takes the sucks the blood of any infected person, and these now microorganisms are in its body. It will go, and when it will suck blood from another person, and if that person is healthy, it will release these microorganism into it. It does not release, but the automatically microorganism come into this healthy person, and he or she get infected. Malaria and dengue are spread by mosquitoes, means mosquitoes are the carriers of that disease. So harmful effects of microorganism is that they cause diseases. They have challenged many times to the whole human race. Nowadays, coronavirus is a great challenge. Human get many diseases such as this TB, corona, and many other types of diseases. It does not mean that only humans, animals, and plants are also getting affected because of these viruses. Humans, animals, plants. See, my dear students, few common diseases of humans are corona, TB, cholera. See, my dear students, many animals they get giant foot disease, many other diseases such as getting blisters on face. These all types of diseases are caused in animals, and these animals die. Even humans die. Plants are having diseases such as the rust of wheat. What happens in this disease is that the whole field of the wheat is being destroyed because of fungus. So animals and plants, when they are affected by microorganisms, our agriculture is destroyed or our crops are destroyed. Moreover, humans also die. If they die, our crop, our agriculture, moreover, the quality also degrades. So the worst thing of microorganism is that they all causes disease. Second very important thing, my dear students, as we know that microorganisms decompose organic material. As microorganisms decompose organic material, so the thing is that first of all, microorganisms cause disease in humans, in animals, and in plants. Microorganisms causing diseases are known as pathogens. See, my dear students, few diseases of virus cannot be cured because virus is such a microorganism. It uses the complete metabolism of our own body, because of which we are unable to differentiate between the microorganism or our body. To avoid any communicable diseases or anything, or if you want yourself to be healthy or safe from disease, always live a hygienic life. Okay, keep your surroundings clean. Always do few exercise while sleeping. Use mosquito nets. Use mask whenever you sneeze. Try to cover your mouth, face. So these are few common things which you can do not to spread any disease. Second thing is that they decompose. Very important. At one place, decomposing is useful. If I want something to get vanished automatically, then it will decompose. But if I don't want something, anything organic material to get vanished, I want this organic material along with me. But then also it will decompose, and at that time it is harmful to me. Just for example, if I throw crop into the field, it will get decomposed. Okay, but if crop is at my place, I don't want it to be get vanished. I want to store it for 10 years. I cannot store it for 10 years. Why? Microorganisms will decompose it, and at that time it is harmful to me. So see my dear students, the worst effect of decomposition is food poisoning. What is food poisoning? Now we will see. See my dear students, basically what happens is that if food is kept, if food is kept anywhere, as we all know, food is an organic material or it is a natural material, so it is biodegradable. It is biodegradable. What happens is that microorganisms act upon it, and now this food is not okay to consume, not okay to consume. But if this food, now this food becomes poisonous, and if this food is consumed by any person and he or she becomes unhealthy, this process is known as food poisoning. What is food poisoning? Any human being or any animal eating poisonous food, or not okay to eat food, and because of which he or she becomes unhealthy, he or she becomes gets any disease such as loose motions, or he or she dies, this process is known as food poisoning. What is food poisoning? Getting any disease due to improper or eating of not okay food. Okay, so my dear student, this process is known as food poisoning. What is the reason for food poisoning? Reason for food poisoning are microorganisms. They convert the food into another material. They decompose this food into such a material that it is not okay to eat. What is the simplest way to recognize that something decomposed or not? It will smell, its color will change. Here it is having good smell. When food is prepared, it is having good smell. But when it is acted by microorganism, now it does not smell good. It smells stagnant. Okay. If the color is some, as of now there is some color, it may be even its color change, and if I consume such food, I will become unhealthy, and this process of becoming unhealthy is known as food poisoning. See my dear students, food is a very important thing. Farmers work hard a lot, and after a very long process, we are getting food into our plates. So very important, the thing is that now we need to do is that preservation of food. Preservation of food. What is preservation of food? Preservation of food is a process. Preservation of food is a process to prevent food getting spoiled. How can we get spoilation of food? Stop. This process is known as preservation of food. We follow many processes. We'll just discuss few common processes. The first one is sun drying or dehydration. My dear students, even in the chapter crop protection and management, we learned that moisture is a reason for developing of more and more microorganisms. So, if I say there is moisture, just get it, there are large chances of microbes there. So, if I decrease this moisture, even the number of microbes will also decrease. So what happens is sun drying is that when we dry or when we keep any food in sun, okay, especially the pickles, okay. So what happens is that the moisture reduces. Its concept is that moisture reduces. As the moisture reduces, the disease causing microorganism diseases, matlab it decreases, and our food is not spoiled that much. See my dear student, the second thing or the second method of preservation of food is keeping that food in fridge, keeping that food in fridge. See my dear friends, keeping a food in fridge, keeping the food in fridge or refrigeration. When you keep food in fridge or refrigeration, what happens is that these microorganisms are unable to act. Why? Because at low temperature they become lethargic. They become lethargic means they are not able to act properly. Most important thing is that deep freezing. Deep freezing means below 0 degree Celsius. If I keep any food below 0 degree Celsius, that hair microorganisms are able to do nothing. Neither they are able to reproduce, neither they are able to act upon the food. So very important, deep freezing. In deep freezing, especially meat and fish are kept for many months. See my dear students, even you can do heating. When we do the heating of any food, what happens is that these microorganisms get killed at high temperature. Even we boil the water. Why we boil the water? Because on heating, the microorganisms get killed. Best example is that our mothers always heat the milk. When she heats the milk, what happens is that lactobacillus bacteria which converts it into milk gets died or killed, because of which that lactobacillus, as it is now less in number, that milk will not get converted into milk. Sorry, curd. Second, fourth point is pasteurization. Pasteurization, very important. What is this pasteurization? See, my dear friends, pasteurization is being practiced in dairies. What happens is that first of all, food is heated a lot, around 80 or 90 degree for 10 to 15 minutes. While heating, what happens is that the germs are killed almost all, and all of a sudden it is cooled down. Why it is cooled down suddenly? Because if it will be cooled slowly, then new microorganisms can get added into it. So it is being heated, microorganisms gets killed, and all of a sudden that is cooled down, because now there is no microorganism in it, and it remains, that food remains safe. First, this is mostly used in milk, and the packed milk which you are getting is pasteurized. You can check on the Amul packet, it is written pasteurized milk. It means that milk is first heated in the silos at high temperature, and all of a sudden it is deep freezed or cooled down, so as to no microorganisms now reproduces, or no microorganisms are able to more develop themselves. Okay. See my dear students, many common things are also being practiced by our mothers or normal industries for the preservation of food. The first one and the best one is using common salt. What common salt is that it kills the microorganisms. It kills the microorganisms, and most important thing is that salt, whenever our mothers are preparing or sun drying anything, she always uses common salt. Even sugars are also used for preservation. Especially sugars are used in the form of jellies and jams. Jams and jellies of fruits, in that sugar is being added. What sugar do is that it reduces the moisture of that material, and as the moisture decreases, microorganisms are not able to reproduce. See my dear friends, even chemicals called as preservatives are also used. What do these chemicals do? these chemicals kill the microorganism. Moreover, these chemicals also does not get the food decomposed, or that does not allow this chemical process of destruction of food let happen. The best examples are sodium benzonate or benzoate, BHA, that is butylated hydroxyanisole, and even vinegar, that is acetic acid. All these things, or you can even use citric acid. See my dear students, even oil is also used for preservation of food. We even use oil. Whenever we go on a long tour, our mothers prepare puris instead of chapatis. Why? This oil reduces the rate of decomposition and does not allow these microorganisms to act upon our food, and our food is preserved. See my dear students, these all are the processes, these all are the common processes which are followed for the preservation of food, and most common is airtight packing of food. Most commonly is airtight packing of food. What happens in airtight packing is that first of all, our food is not in contact with the air, so our microorganisms are not able to act on it. Second thing, as it is airtight, especially another gas such as nitrogen is being put into in this food, so that microorganisms are not able to act upon it. If there will be oxygen, then microorganisms will be able to survive in that. As they will get oxygen, they will respire and will be alive. Nitrogen helps them does not to live alive. Moreover, nitrogen also reduces the process of decomposition, and our food is safe. These all, my dear students, were the processes for the preservation of food. See my dear students, now we need to understand nitrogen fixation and nitrogen. That is, nitrogen fixation is called as nitrification and denitrification. As we studied that soil fertility is increased by microorganisms. Is increased by microorganisms. How? See my dear students, nitrogen gas is present in atmosphere. We all know nitrogen gas is present in atmosphere. But this nitrogen gas is of no use. For plants and animals, this nitrogen gas is of no use. But nitrogen compounds are very much useful for plants and animals. See my dear students, the process of getting converted this nitrogen gas into nitrogen compounds, that is nitrates, this process is known as nitrogen fixation. This process is known as nitrogen fixation. What is nitrogen fixation? Nitrogen fixation is a process in which this nitrogen gas, which is not useful, gets converted into nitrogen compounds, that is nitrates, which is very useful for plants and animals. Very useful for plants and animals. This process is known as nitrogen fixation or nitrification. My dear students, reverse of this is known as denitrification. My dear students, soil fertility is increased by microorganisms. How? Now the answer is here. Microorganisms, very important. Microorganisms such as blue green algae, such as blue-green algae, rhizobium. These microorganisms convert the nitrogen gas into nitrates. These nitrates get mixed up in the soil and the fertility of soil is increased. These nitrates get mixed up into soil. Okay, and the soil fertility is increased by soil. These are taken or absorbed by the plants. Plants get these nitrates, and very important for protein development and nucleic acid development into the bodies of plants and animals. And now these plants are being eaten up by animals, and we get that nitrate or protein stuff into our body. See, my dear students, this is the way how they are helping in soil fertility. Blue-green algae and rhizobium converts this nitrogen gas into nitrates. Moreover, decomposers convert organic material. Decomposers convert organic material into nitrates or nutrients, whatever the thing is that, and mix them into soil. So this is the process how they maintain the soil fertility. And this is the process of nitrogen fixation or nitrification, that is conversion of nitrogen gas into nitrogen compounds called as nitrates. This process is nitrification. The reverse of this is known as denitrification, that is conversion of nitrates into nitrogen gas. Even this thing is also done by microorganisms. See, my dear students, microorganisms are doing both nitrification and denitrification. Now we will see nitrogen cycle. What is nitrogen cycle? Very important. Nitrogen cycle is a process in which this nitrogen component goes into living thing and non-living thing. Now we will do nitrogen cycle. What is nitrogen cycle? In nitrogen cycle, see, my dear student, very important. In nitrogen cycle, the nitrogen component goes into non-living things, and from non-living things it goes into living things, and this process keeps on going. This thing is known as nitrogen cycle. So now we will see nitrogen cycle. As we all know, nitrogen is present in atmosphere in the gaseous form. In atmosphere. My dear students, we divide this nitrogen cycle into two parts. One is nitrification and another one is denitrification. See, nitrogen is present in atmosphere, so by blue-green algae it is converted into nitrates. It is converted into nitrates. By rhizobium bacteria, which is present in leguminous plants or legumes, convert this into nitrates. Lightning and thundering while rainy seasons. Lightning is that while lightning there is the temperature is very high, which converts this nitrogen and makes a chemical reaction to happen between nitrogen and oxygen, and it gets converted into nitrates. See, my dear students, these are few methods and few another bacteria also. Those are known as nitrogen fixing bacteria. These all four converts nitrogen into nitrates. Now when rainy season is there, or when all these rhizobium and all convert this into nitrates, these all gets added up in soil. In soil. See, from soil these are absorbed by plants. Now these nitrates help these plants to develop protein. As we eat grapes and all, they all are having protein in them, and develop nucleic acid into them. Now these plants get this nitrogen. These plants are eaten by animals, and this nitrogen come into animals. Now these plants also die, and animals also die, and they now are dead or any organic material. Now what happens is that decomposers act on them. Decomposers act on them and these nitrates again mixed up into soil, or this nitrogen material again comes back to soil. Moreover, these plant waste or animal waste such as feces, dung, urine, even in that things also the nitrogen things come back into the soil. Now what happens is that there are also few bacteria and microorganisms which convert this nitrate material or nitrogen compound back into the nitrogen gas, and this process is known as denitrification. So what is nitrogen cycle? It is the movement of nitrogen component from living to non-living and non-living to living material. In nitrogen cycle, it is basically there are two things happening, that is nitrification and denitrification. In nitrification, this gets nitrogen gets converted into nitrates, and in denitrification, these nitrates gets converted into nitrogen gas back. When they are in nitrates form, from soil they go into plants. Plants, they are consumed by animals. So now plants and animals, both of them are having nitrogen component. When they give any waste such as urine, feces or any waste, this nitrogen material comes and decomposed by decomposers come back to soil. When these plants and animals die, these are decomposed by decomposer, that is microorganism, and this nitrate material again going through this complete cycle come back here. Now in soil these nitrates are present, but few bacteria convert these nitrates back into atmospheric gas, and this cycle keeps on going, and this is known as nitrogen cycle. So dear students, today your chapter is over.